Welcome to Satsang. This grace that's here, that you are, that I am, that lives this life, has so many faces, so many fragrances. And joy is one of those fragrances. When you become still and silent, it's as though, you've heard that saying, opening Pandora's box and you don't know what's in there. And it's usually a negative thing, like we don't know what we're going to find. Being still and silent is like opening the doors of a Pandora's box that is so full and so rich, so wondrous, so unknown, that usually we're scared to find what's there, because it could be something unwanted. But if we're willing to just be here, open the doors of your heart. Allow this fragrance of grace to move you, like you said downstairs, to move you. What an incredible discovery. This joy, this love, this delight in allowing grace to move us. In our life, in our relationships, in our work, even from country to country, that this grace moves us and we say yes. Yes. And why do we say yes? Because we can't do anything else. It's not like a yes or a no. Not that kind of yes. Not a will I or won't I. The I doesn't come into it. It's just, yes, yes, this grace. Yes, this life. This love, this joy, this momentum that's here. So how to speak about joy? I have no idea. Really, how do we speak about joy? This that's not manufactured, this that's not because of something or someone or some circumstance. This fragrance of grace that's just here. Maybe the flavour for you has a different name. Maybe it's not joy. So what do you discover? Right here, doors wide open, heart wide open, just here. So there's an effervescence to this gracefulness. So, it may not mean that you're laughing down the street. It may mean, there's just this subtle effervescence here. this delight in the moment, in the simplicity, in the lightness of being. So what often happens is that there's this that we notice, and then this whistling comes and this joyfulness comes, and then the outward expression somehow ceases. And then we give our attention somewhere else. Rather than having our attention here, that there's just a different flavour. And this different flavour then isn't causing laughter down the street or whistling. But usually in life we're turning our attention to something else. To something then that will give us that sense of laughter, that sense of happiness, that sense of joy, rather than the simplicity of this that's already here, no matter how it's showing up. Whether it's joy, whether it's bliss, whether it's delight, whether it's silence, whether it's empty. So we can have this mistaken idea about joy, about delight, about happiness. That when this flavour of grace fades and another flavour arises, we don't notice. Because we're busy looking for this one, we're attached to this one, we're addicted to this one. It's why words can be tricky. You know, if we use the word love, or we use the word joy, we have an idea, oh, joy means, love means, joy feels like, love feels like. But how do you really know? Unless you give your full attention here with this arising of whatever flavour, whatever flavour. It's how we can discover peace in the midst of absolute heartbreak. By having our attention and our awareness here, where we are here. So what is here? That here there's this effervescence and we go, uh-oh. So how can we live unchecked? Really, unguarded, unchecked, just here. Free to be as we are, fully expressed. Even if fully expressed means being silent. See, fully expressed doesn't necessarily mean outspoken or loud or in conversation or singing and dancing. So are we willing to live fully expressed, unguarded? So In this room, we're all old enough. We've had enough life experience to know whether it's worth following the mind or not, worth listening to that or not, whether that's truthful. So the truthful bit is we actually have no idea. We don't know what's going to happen later, tomorrow, next week, next year, next second. Have no idea. That's the truthful bit. We have no idea. So, when we know that we have no idea what's going to happen. Yes. Then we can just be here. Unknowing. Exploring, experiencing, allowing whatever actually is here right now. And this happiness that you speak of, so these flavours of grace come and go. The grace itself doesn't come and go. The flavours arise and fall. Or maybe if you're acutely aware, you notice that there's this subtle flavour of grace that's always here, that has all of these qualities all the time. So this happiness or this joy that's dependent upon circumstance, dependent upon identity, is very flimsy. It will crash and burn. We know that. We have elation. We do. We have elation in the pits. But there's something that's untouched by these highs and lows. This joy is not one of these highs and lows. So maybe there's an elated state like you're sharing, there's more joyfulness. And yet as that joyfulness itself subsides, there's a subtle joyfulness that remains. The peace that remains. So are you willing to allow that these thoughts are arising, because they will, and not follow them? Not listen to them. It's a little bit like if a madman came into the street every afternoon and started yelling something. And every afternoon he's yelling the same thing, and every afternoon you're going to run out there and, oh my God, believe it every time, every day, every week, every moment, every second. So that's the mind. There was a usefulness at some time to protect the form. But the form's protected. Here you are. But the madman's still running around, yelling. So you tell me. So right here, just right here, sitting here. No thought of tomorrow, no thought of past or where you've been. Just here. Not following any thought at all. Not even listening to anything I'm saying. Just here. And discovering this. There's a settling, maybe a quietness. And then there's an arising, a thought. You go, oh, I'm here. Just give your attention here. And this beautiful smile, like, what's this? Oh yes, unspeakable, how beautiful. On your face, radiant joy, just here. And there's nothing that you had to do for it. You weren't thinking about where you've been or what you've done and maybe wondrous experiences or maybe what's going to come. Here you are right here. Whatever thoughts arising, not even touching that. Here. And just the delight of being. And so this is where we get to choose whether to give our attention here. To surrender our whole life here, actually. Without knowing what that means. Because the mind goes, oh, I don't know about that. Well, that's truthful. You don't know about that. So you're going to do it anyway. Surrender everything here to this moment, to this joy. You never know, one day with the filming we might get a, just how beautiful, just the delight, really. In that instant of, yes, the recognition of the truth of this. Nothing needed, nothing missing. And then a thought comes in. Yep. And that's the choice. Do we follow it? Or get our attention here to this discovery freshly? Not what was here, not what was experienced. What's here freshly, right now, this moment. And that's the mind, like the mind wants to put it back together somehow, to understand something somehow. And you can go, so what? So what? So we don't have to know. Whatever we need to know, it arises in consciousness. It arises in awareness. So it's beautiful because, this is what I see, each of you. This is what I see. So maybe you want to just turn for a moment and just look at each other. Like really, just take a moment, really see each other here. How beautiful.
Oh, I need to look at next to me.
It's just gorgeous, nothing going on, such joy and delight here. And it can't be captured, it can't be contained. This is the effervescence of being. So maybe we will be laughing down the street. But you see, there's no reason to put a lid on. There's no reason to contain this. Just for each of you, discover what's here right now. And as you're already discovering, the mind is unnecessary for this discovery. It's unnecessary. It's had you survive, it's had you come to this moment. But right now, right here, it's not needed for anything. Not needed for anything. And so maybe that thought arises again, oh, maybe it's a bit too much, or maybe I've been laughing too long, or what do other people think? Or it's just a thought arising, dissipating, meaning nothing, meaning nothing. But is it? So my experience is not that. You know, the heartbreak of my son dying, the intensity of that, and the absolute peace called everything to be here even more still, even more present. No mind story, no, I don't know what might have gone on. I have no idea. Just here with whatever is here. But if we believe that story, that if something intense is going on, then that's going to be harder, then we're believing that story. Well, we don't know what's going to happen. We actually don't know what's going to happen, but we're believing the story about something that's not even here. So you just stay here, right here, on this couch, right here, right now. And then when you're walking on the floor, you're right here, where you are, walking on the floor. Nothing happening before, nothing happening after. Just here. So how can we know anything about anything that's going to happen? Whether we can handle it, whether it's going to be hard. Do you see it's all made up? It's all a projection. And what it does is it distracts from the beauty of this moment, from the joy of this moment, from the sacredness of this moment. Is anything really worth distracting from this? Really? this that has your whole body and being light up with such radiance, is any thought worth giving your attention to instead of this? See, we don't usually ask that question. We're already off following a thought about how hard it's going to be sometime later when something intense is going on. And then we're missing just the delight of here. And nothing's going on. But do you see, this is what happens with the mind. So how do we then stay still? How do we stay true? Regardless, someone comes to the door, regardless. It's just a thought coming to the door, or a thought coming here, isn't it? It's like that, a thought came to the door. But this with the stake in the ground, you know, at first it's useful, this idea, because I speak about that a lot, the stake in the ground. But really, you are the stake in the ground. You cannot leave the stake in the ground. It is you. You, here, fully. I love those words. Falling in love with this. Falling in love with the stake in the ground. Falling, like what music to your ears. It's like the whole room swooning. To fall in love with this. Forget about with somebody, forget about with an idea, forget about with a something. Fall in love with this so deeply. Which when you brought that picture of Christ at the cross, you know, that you would be willing to give your life to this. Not to me, not to Satsang, not to a teacher, not to an idea, to this that you discover as you. This is the beloved as you. Here, like this is the real swoon, being in love with this. Look, so much so it brings tears to his eyes. And so all this striving to try and love who we are as a someone pales into insignificance when we're willing to fall in love with this. Oh my God, like how extraordinary. And we have no idea what life looks like, no idea what relationship looks like, no idea what each other looks like. There's just this meeting freshly, fully in love with itself. And the joyfulness of this. Just be here fully as you right now. Right now. Without needing to fix, change, control, dodge, weave, anything. Without needing to understand. Without needing to add or subtract. Just here. How here can you be? All the way? What does that even mean? What does that look like? Have you checked? See what happens? The more that you rivet your attention, I'm not talking about, not like that, not a contraction, but it's like you rivet your awareness here. The bliss, the joy, the peace of the moment is here. Not separate from anything that's occurring, not any circumstance. We don't have to like or not like being with certain people. There's just whatever happens in the moment. And we're in certain situations and in certain circumstances because we are. We're in certain situations and we're in certain circumstances because we are. You see, the mind wants to know why. Yeah, there isn't that. We just are. Like right now, we're right here. Why? I don't know. Does it matter? Here we are. We're just here. Really? But the mind wants to make it into something. It's clear, isn't it? It's clear just to be here as we are. It's clear when the mind is whirring and when we follow a thought. It's clear. So then we can give our attention here fully. Love this fully. And delight in life and the play of life as it shows up. Not knowing what it means. Not knowing how it looks. And then you discover something else. It's not this love, this love. It's just this. Simply this. Yeah, beautiful. Oh, so lovely to see you all like this. Just beautiful.
What a fantastic satsang.
Oh.
Yeah, I'll say.